looking after you here on board the vessel. So plan of attack, folks, we're just going to head on up the river here and get out to the lake and get up to speed. But like all good things, there is a quick safety that we need to go through. So now, likely event of an emergency, what we tend to do is we sound a general alarm. So this is several short, followed by one long blast across the ship's horn, and then of course we'll notify you over the PA system. So from there, folks, you just want to follow the instructions from the staff on board, and we will most likely tell you to head to the muster station. Now the muster stations on this vessel here are either the bow deck right out the front or the upper viewing deck out behind the wheelhouse. Now we're fully stocked with a whole array of life-saving equipment as well. Under each, or downstairs we have enough life jackets, so probably about 3 or 4 each, and upstairs we've got 2 great big life rafts as well. The other things about this vessel, folks, it is a boat. It can move around unexpectedly sometimes, so just take care moving your way around the vessel. Especially in and out of the doorways. I'm sure you've all met the sea sills, and we live at the bottom of each door. It's designed to keep water out on the odd occasion, and will keep people out who don't lift their feet, so just be careful going through the doorways. If you're outside, folks, like most of you are, please no sitting or climbing on the handrails. Just keep your feet firmly planted on the deck surfaces, please. And also, if you're out there, folks, just make sure you're looking after any loose items, hats, sunglasses, things like that. We cruise at 24 knots, which is about 45 kilometres an hour, and that is enough just to blow the hat off your head, and we don't turn around and lift things up unless you are still attached to it, of course. We've got 2 toilets on board. They're located downstairs on the rear deck there, one forward, one starboard. You can use those at any point, and if you want to buy any snacks or refreshments or anything, just talk to the Tash or Johnny behind the bar downstairs. They'll be more than happy to help you out. located at about sea level inside that mountain there. So they use the drop from the surface level of the lake all the way down to sea level. So if you recall, that's about 178 metres. So that kinetic energy behind the water, of course, spins those turbines. Some wizardry happens, electricity is produced, and that gets shot back up to the switchyard up the top there. Then off it goes down the transmission lines all the way down to the TY Point aluminium smelter. So what we can see there, big switchyard up the top. This concrete structure here houses the intakes for the water. Big control block just to the right of that switchyard. And these white booms here, they're to stop all the kayakers and swimmers getting sucked down into the power station. But we'll be tied up very shortly, folks. The water is just ahead of us yet. So what's going to happen, we'll be disembarking from the starboard side at the rear of the vessel. When you jump off, folks, just head on straight up the wharf and straight into the visitor centre. Now in the visitor centre there, just wait for instructions from the bus drivers, so they'll tell you what's going to happen next. But in that visitor centre, there's also a whole heap of information about the lake, the national park, and of course the power station as well. There's also an entire block of toilets in there too. I recommend you potentially use those as the next leg.
But we're just going to make our way out of West Arm now. In a few moments we'll be on the Wilmot Pass Road. That last part of your journey, as you came up the lake there, you would have seen the power station just off to the left. If you didn't, you got another chance to see that as we go. So what you can see there, we've got what we call the intake gates, also known as the trash gates. They stop all the wood, and you can see all that wood on the front of them there, down the bottom collecting. They drop a big claw down every so often and have to remove it. But that's where the water goes into the mountain. It goes down 180 metres, which is where it spins the turbines. That creates the electricity, which comes back up the cable shafts to the switchyard, and from there the power taken away down the transmission lines down to the TY Point aluminium smelter near Bluff. 85% of the electricity from here goes to that smelter, and about 15% goes to our national grid. But to give you an idea of how much electricity that is, it's actually enough to power the entire South Island. So it's a huge producer of electricity. And as I said, it doesn't do that. Most of it's going to the aluminium smelter. Area out to our right hand side here, this was home to a single man's camp. We had about 500 single men living here during the building days. We also had another 500 men living in Doubtful Sound on the ex-Trans-Tasman cruise liner, the Wanganella. And then back in the Manapori village there, another 500 men or so. They were the married men with families. They'd come up and down the lake each day, working an 8-hour rotating shift throughout the night and day. So about 1,500 men in this project in total, spanning around 10 years. One of our biggest engineering projects, and probably one of our most expensive as well. Now up here on the left you'll see a little road leading away. You'll see a building up there. That's the Meridian Hostel. It's where contractors and workers can stay. Around 30 people can stay there. Most of the workers during the week, Monday to Friday, about 20 of them will come up and down the lake each day on a boat. So this is just for those working there for long periods of time or don't have accommodation in the area. The power station itself is actually controlled from Wellington. It's all done through the fibre optics. And every now and then though we lose the link and it goes offline. And they can manually take over on site if needed. Now we just entered onto the Wilmot Pass Road. This road leads us directly through to Doubtful Sound. And the good news, we can't get lost anywhere along the way. It only goes one place. But it's about 20 kilometres. It's quite steep, quite windy. And as we go today, I'll point out a few things that may be of interest. And we'll make a stop somewhere along the way as well. We're quite lucky to have the road access though. The road was built back in the 60s for that power station. So they utilised this to bring in all the heavy equipment and machinery. Came around to Doubtful Sound on huge ships, and then they transported it up and over the pass. When they built the road though, they only planned on it taking 1 year to build. It ended up taking 2, and it became our most expensive road in New Zealand. $2 a centimetre, or $5 an inch, so well and truly blowing out the budget. Known as the mica burn, and it's not uncommon to see the water come across the road here. It does so quite frequently, and every now and then it causes a wee bit of a hold up while we wait. What happens though when it rains heavy in the area, a couple of hours in the catchment, we'll see that flood very quickly, but the good news is it drops back down just as fast. See a bit of gravel moving down it. But in that original rainfall, we got 848 mils of rain in 48 hours. And even by Fiordland standards, that's quite a lot. We get a lot, but just not that much in such a short period of time. So it did a bit of damage all the way down the left-hand side of the road here. It washed out the road. They've kind of filled in the water table there again. But pretty extensive damage up the Milford Road and south in Otago. Still a lot of ongoing repairs at the moment. We had another big storm hit this area around 8 years ago, and that waterfall, the Stella Falls that we just went past, that burst its banks, and a lot of rubble and debris water came down across the road. It took out the road up ahead on the next corner. Happened overnight. It was middle of winter, there wasn't many people around. There was a school group in Doubtful Sound at the time though, these children around 12 years old, and they were stuck, and when they got this news they were absolutely thrilled. They got an extra day off school and they got a helicopter home the following day, so pretty lucky. You'll see a large rock pile shortly on the right. This is just part of what came down, and that's been left there to protect the road. So you can see it's already regenerating with that moss, the lichens and things growing on it there. But it came right across the left, took out this whole corner, closed the road for over 3 weeks. Now before you could drive here though, you could actually walk. So tourism in Doubtful Sound began back in the 1950s. The owners of our company, Les and Olive Hutchins, they started up a guided walking track. You'd walk through with your guide and then you'd spend the night. So it would take about 8 to 9 hours to walk in. You'd go out on a boat. Boats weren't modern or fast, you didn't get all that far. And then you'd walk back out the following day. If you look out the right there, you might see the west signpost, the old Doubtful Sound track. It's the last remaining part of the track. There's only 5 kilometres of it left. It's still maintained and it's a lovely section of track if you ever get the chance. Unfortunately that's the only bit that's left because the road pretty much went the same direction. So these days majority access definitely done by road, but alternatively you can come around the coast if you've got a yacht or a ship. You can also come in by helicopter or float plane depending on your budget. Over a bridge in just a moment, below there being the River. Beautiful alpine stream, very steep. You get good views out both directions here. Big slip up on the hill there to the right, you can probably see it. You see right at the top where it started as well, if you can. It's a bit hard to spot with the sun, but that one's quite recent. It's about 1.5 years old, that slip. Doesn't affect the road, didn't affect the river or anything, it kind of just came down alongside both of them. But we're not far away now. This is the last part of the hill. In just a few moments we will be back on sea level. Sound. So it's not the most accurate sign you'll see. It was a bit of an April Fool's